Hey guys, it's Travis here and welcome back to my YouTube tutorial. In this video, I'm gonna cover some topics about color correcting by using the histogram in your Lightroom. So what is this histogram? This histogram you might see in while you're shooting photos, or maybe you're editing your photos in your mobile app, or even Lightroom itself has this histogram. So I'm gonna further discuss about how to use this histogram to edit your photos. Stop eyeballing your photos because you might lose a lot of details in your highlights area or your blacks areas of your photos. And before we start this tutorial, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll try to upload maybe every day one video or maybe two videos. I try my best, okay? I try my best. So let's jump into this tutorial. Okay, so we have an example of an image over here. This is the histogram that I'm talking about. Okay, so this section represents the blacks. This part represents the shadows, exposures, which means it's your midtones, and highlights and whites, of course. Okay, so the main goal to color correct your photos is to spread out this waveform evenly throughout the blacks, shadows, exposure, highlights, and whites. So we can potentially pull out all those details in your photos. So the first thing that I will actually edit is to enable profile corrections. This will help you to remove any distortion that your lens is created. In this case, I'm using a Canon EF 50mm f-stop 1.8. So the distortion that this lens create is not really a big deal. You can see there's no much distortion, just a little bit of vignette. Okay, so we jump back right into this histogram. Let's spread this out evenly by starting by correcting the blacks. So you can see the blacks here are a little bit too near the danger zone, which means the clipping zone. So you cannot see any details in her pants area. Okay, so let's zoom out. Okay, so we will shift the blacks into a little bit brighter zone. As you can see, the histogram over here is moving as I'm tuning the blacks. Okay. So the next thing I will do the whites. The whites is over here. It's a little bit too near to the danger zone, so I will just drop a little bit more and it's good to go. And the shadows is usually here. As you can see, if I tune the shadows, it will actually spread wide open the waves. Okay, so maybe we can just tone a little bit of shadows down a little bit. And the highlights, maybe we can up the highlights a little bit so you can see this part is moving, is spreading out evenly. Okay, the next thing I want to tell you is about how do you know that it's overexposed. You can actually click this triangle tool here to show you which part is actually clipping. So let's, for example, if you are toning the highlights is too much, you can see this red color marking over here, which represents the overexposed area. So you don't want that in your image. So just a little bit, maybe show some background. Okay, now it's the contrast. We usually, if people like contrast, which means the dark zones are getting more dark and the white zones are getting more whites. So for example, if I tone it very high, you can see the blacks are getting more black, the darks area are getting more darker, and the whites area are getting more white. So you don't want this to be in your image. You just want a balanced contrast somewhere there, and it's enough. Exposure, sometimes if let's say your image is a little bit too dark, after you tune all these settings already, you can maybe play around with it just a little bit to spread out the waves even more wider. In this case, I think plus 0.2 is enough for me. This is actually the way how you color correct your photos using the histogram. So here's an before and after. Just hit the / key in your keyboard is the before and this is the after. So you can see a lot of difference over there. You can still see details, or maybe the blacks is still a little bit too dark. So maybe I will bring up the blacks a little bit. Maybe the shadows just a little bit more, so you can see the hands details over here. Maybe just fine-tuning a little bit, because sometimes it depends on your personal preference for the fine-tuning after you have tuned all these things accordingly to the histogram. So I will drop my highlights just a little bit more because it's a little bit clipping, and more contrast. Okay, so this is how you actually edit your photos by using the histogram. I hope you learned something in this video, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao!